Hard Rockology Show, Chris, Matt, and Jason back in with you. That's Union with Pain Behind Your Eyes from their record Live in the Galaxy. And joining us from that band and many others, including The Scream, Motley Crue, and Rat, is vocalist, guitarist John Corabi. John, welcome to the Hard Rockology Show.
How you guys doing, man?
Doing all right, man. Thanks for joining us.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, John, let's just get right into it. You've worked with many bands and musicians over the years, including Bruce Kulick of Kiss fame and, of course, Motley Crue. But lately, you've been busy with Unplugged. Tell us a little bit about that solo release you got going on right now.
Well, it's, it was kind of something I've wanted to do for a really, really long time. I'm pretty much every song that I've ever written, from day one, has started out on an acoustic guitar. So most of the songs that I've written, even the stuff in Motley and, the heavier stuff, it all starts on the acoustic. And then when I was doing the Scream album, I had this incredible experience to be able to meet the guys from Humble Pie were putting the band back together again. They were working with Eddie Kramer, who was also working with the Scream. And we were sharing production, like this place called Leeds in California. We were in one studio, they were in another, and Eddie was kind of bouncing back and forth between the two bands. And so I got to meet Peter and Steve Marriott right before he passed away. And it was funny. Like, I walked over to Steve, and I was being a bit of a fan, and I just rapped with him about Humble Pie's history and all this other kind of stuff. And, so that was a great experience in itself. But when he was in our room, he heard a couple of the tracks, and he was like, man, you got some really cool stuff. It's really cool. It's organic and, all this other stuff. He goes, a great song, you can tell when someone has a great song when they can actually sit down and play it on an acoustic guitar. If they can deliver a great melody and lyrics and chords and all this other stuff, it's a great song. And it just kind of stuck with me for my whole career. Like, I just kind of always remembered him saying that. So I've been hemming and hawing around for, years now, talking about doing a solo record. So I figured, I've always wanted to do one. It's kind of a no-brainer. Let's go in and I just wanted to do this acoustic record as a start, because I've always wanted to do one, and then to boot, to let people know that there's another side to me that's not just going to go out and scream Smoke the Sky and Hooligan's Holiday and, like all the stuff that I'm known for. I just wanted to do something and set myself up so that I could do, just show people a different side to me. You know what I mean? So it's been pretty cool. Rat Pack came to the table, and they've been just going crazy about the record and really trying to help out as much as possible. And the reaction from the fans has been great. And for the last year and a half, I've just been swamped doing acoustic shows. So it's been really cool.
Well, I have to ask you because, the album's got 5 original tracks on there. Then, of course, you have 7 previous tracks that you released with different bands. Now, those 7 tracks that you released previously with other bands, Angora, actually, I wanted to ask you about that one, Are You Waiting? That's pretty, that's one of your first songs that you probably written, or you probably wrote. Is that one of the reasons why that particular track's on the album?
Well, it's funny. When we first did that song, it was weird. I kind of always believed in that song. And the first demo that I ever did with it, Steve Vai actually produced. So he heard us. He came and saw one of our shows, and he goes, man, I want to do a demo with you guys. And, so we did a song called Hey Operator and a couple of other tunes. And then Steve liked that song as well. But for some reason, it never translated with record companies. It never translated with managers. We tried it in the Scream. It just didn't really sit right. I suggested it with, I don't know if I suggested it to Motley or not, but I suggested it to Union, and it just kind of fell through the cracks. And to be honest with you, I completely forgot about that song. So when we were putting material together for this, I was just kind of going through, some old songs that I had, and like some new material that I had, and I was trying to put a great package together, and I just found a demo tape with that song on it, and I'm like, oh wow, God, I forgot about this one. And so I listened to it again, and I played it for my girlfriend. I'm like, what do you think of this tune? And she's like, yeah, it's cool, and I played it for the guys in the band, and they were like, yeah, it's great, let's do it. So we just sat down, and I changed it up a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think it came out great, and it was really kind of always what I wanted to hear, so we just went in and just kind of reworked it and laid it down, and I really dig the way the song came out, and so I'm really happy with that one.
Well, I mean, that being said, I mean, it's a great track, and you said you changed it up a little bit, and I could definitely hear that you did, because I've actually heard the original version, and it is slightly different, but I actually really like the new acoustic version of the song. I think it sounds really great. Now, the other songs that you decided to redo, were those personal favorites that you really wanted to do, or did you think, you know what, these are some of the songs that maybe my fans want to hear, or is it a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. I mean, I wanted to try and go evenly across the board and pick a couple of Scream songs, a couple of Union tunes, a couple of Motley songs, and just kind of go back and then there were some obvious ones I could have done from like Union. Like some people still, they're like, why didn't you do Robin's song? I'm like, well, it's already an acoustic song, or October Morning Wind, or whatever. So they were already acoustic tunes. So I wanted to try and experiment and take the songs down, strip them down to like their barest form. One of the songs that I play live all the time electrically that seems to go over great is Everything's All Right. That little tip of the hat that I do to the Beatles.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh man, that song's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. So I'm like, let me just play around with this and see if we can do something that's a little different with it, And so, to be honest with you, I sat down with my guitar player, D.A., and we kind of did I don't want to say Alice in Chainsy, but it's a little bit of an Alice in Chains vibe to it, with the harmonies and all that other stuff. But that's another one. I think it came out great. It's funny. A lot of people are like, God, I love the original version, the electric version, but the acoustic one is awesome too. One of the things that everybody loves about the record is that they can actually hear the lyrics now, and they can crystal clear hear every word that I'm singing. It's like I've had people come up to me and go, oh my God, all those years that I've had your records, I never knew that that's what you were saying in that one sentence or whatever. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing my brother and I have always agreed on is, I mean, it's great to hear the power behind the music, the power chords and the electric and all that.
But when you strip it down to acoustic, you can hear the lyrics, and it makes the whole song a whole different dimension.
Well, I think you get the true meaning of what the song was all about, the melody, the structure, and everything that's going involved in there. So I think if you could pull it off acoustically.
Well, yeah, like John said earlier in the interview, you got to be able to play it on acoustic guitar.
Exactly. If you can't play it acoustically.
And there's no hiding behind anything. When you stand on stage with a band and the drummer's just banging away and the guitar player's on 11 and the bass is thumping and there's the natural reverb in the room, and then there's the effects on the PA and all this other stuff. There's so much stuff going on that it's cool. The power is there. The fun or the electricity of everything is coming across. But on an acoustic thing, man, you got to be, it's a different animal, and it's like even singing this stuff, you really kind of have to be on your game on an acoustic record. There's no hiding anything. If there's a flaw, you're going to hear it.
Yeah.
So that was the challenge of doing this thing, but I think we did a great job. I mean, the record, we recorded the record in my house. We started on a Monday morning at like 9 a.m. and we were done Sunday night, probably 10 o'clock. So it took us 1 week to record the entire record. And then we went down to Atlanta and we mixed it in a day and a half, and then we sent it to the record label and they mastered it and was done deal.
It's amazing, man. It's a great sounding album, and the fact that you did it in less than a couple weeks is a testament to not only you but the guys in the band as well. So congratulations on that. It's like I said, it's a phenomenal
That's cool, man.
album.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and tell us about the guys you're working with right now in the band.
I get a gentleman named D.A. Carcos on guitar and vocals. He's actually in the process right now. He's been pretty busy. Like, Daniel's, like, really kind of coming into his own as a producer. He just did a track with a friend of mine's daughter. It's amazing. We kind of sat down and wrote the song with her and then produced it. And now he's working with Jerry Gaskell on Jerry's new solo record, and I'm really excited to hear that. I was just out having drinks with those guys last night, but you know, and then Cheney, my drummer, he was in Collective Soul for a while, and he kind of engineered and helped mix the record and all that other stuff. And Cheney's out right now working with Eric Brittingham and Jeff LeBar on that side project they have called Cheap Thrill.
With the guys from Cinderella?
And yeah, and so he's doing that. And then Topher Nolan, my bass player, he's been with me the longest of everybody. He's awesome. He's just a great all around bass player. The guy plays bass, he plays guitar. He did a couple of solos on the record as well. But he's a great guitar player, great bass player, great keyboard player, songwriter, singer. Like, all the guys are just stupidly talented. So it was just a combination of finding, it was like the right time. We went in, we picked the right songs, and we all just sat down, and everybody played the right parts and sang the right parts, and it just came out awesome.
Now, with Rat Pack Records, now you have because I was on your site and on their site as well. You have a lot of prize giveaways going on right now.
Yeah, I want to get my hands on that iPod.
Yeah, I have to ask you. I mean, was this something that you guys put together? I mean, because you got some really cool stuff in there. You got, of course, you got the Hellfire guitars, the grand prize, and then you got the 16 gig iPod loaded with your 5 favorite albums. I mean, I'm going to ask you. Are you going to tell us what those 5 favorite albums are, or is that going to be a surprise?
Well, I'm going to surprise everybody, but it's just. What Rat Pack is, Joe O'Brien and the people at Rat Pack they're just always thinking of ways for me to keep my name out there. He came to me about the idea with the guitar because I just signed up with DBZ Guitars. I'm going to start using their products. They also do my amplifiers and everything. But he just came up with this idea about doing this giveaway so that, like I said, people would sign up for my mailing list and just kind of help build up my Facebook thing. And
yeah, no, I mean it's an interesting giveaway that you're doing, and I think it's a great idea. And I think just having your name out there and doing something like this, you're right. It does definitely bring attention to you. But I will say this,
and it's funny too because he just put that on. I think Facebook or whatever, and they launched the website on Thursday.
Uh-huh.
And they put the thing out and said, hey, if you buy a T-shirt or you buy, whatever, one of these products, or sign up for the mailing list, your name is getting entered in, the grand prize giveaway, or, the giveaway thing there's iPods, there's a leather jacket, there's the guitar, there's like a poster or something, and so he threw it out there, and he called me Friday morning. He's like, dude, this is crazy. They had over 6,000 people register for this thing in like 24 hours. It's been good, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, that is pretty amazing. And I heard in another interview somewhere, I forget where I heard it from, that you said yourself that you have a hard time marketing yourself. So this makes total sense to get somebody else to help you do it and get out there. Because if I remember correctly, you weren't really interested in learning how to use the computer and network and all that stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got to admit, I'm a bit of a computer illiterate, and but I do feel weird, it's funny. I was just reading on, I go on YouTube and I go on different things or whatever, every now and then I'll punch my name into Google to see if there's any new interviews or something that I've done, whatever. And I don't save anything. I'm not a saver. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, I whatever. So, like, I've got, you know, a new manager and the record label. I've got a new agent and all these people now, and they're like, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I'm like, you know, I don't feel right going on Facebook and going, hey, buy my T-shirts.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. So I just kind of turn the reins over to everybody. I'm like, all I want to do is play an A chord and put a melody on it. You know what I mean? Like, you guys figure out all that stuff. You do whatever. Now, I do go on Facebook. I do write to fans. Like, if they write to me or send me a letter, I'll respond to it. Or if somebody pops a comment or something that I think is funny or, you know, whatever, I'll respond. So I do go on there as well, but I'm just leaving all the marketing stuff to the people that know what they're doing, because I don't feel comfortable with it. Even at shows, they'll come up to me and they'll go, "Hey man, how much is your T-shirt?" And I'm like,
I don't know,
20.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I mean,
you know what I mean?
John, I mean,
so it's just weird for me. I'm just, I don't know. Like, I'm not like. I'm not a big money-motivated person, so...
No, you're a musician.
It's weird.
And I think the fans would much rather have you working on music, writing music, instead of marketing.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to hear what you guys are going to come up with. Now, I'm going to go back in time a little bit, because I have to ask you. You have to Scream, and that right now, in circles, is actually somewhat of a cult classic.
And it's also very, very difficult to find. Is there going to be any kind of release on that record?
You know, I'm really trying, guys, and it's been like, you know, unfortunately, I am one of those classic stories in the music industry that you hear about. You know, when you read about Willie Nelson having to sell everything because the IRS stuff, and he had a business manager that didn't do this or didn't do that, and it just annoys the shit out of me that, like, I talk to people on the internet, you know, where people will come up to me at a show and they're like, dude, I can't find the Scream album anywhere. And, or I found it on eBay and I paid $80 for it. And I'm like, God, it just kills me. And unfortunately, sometime in the negotiations with Motley, the record label decided, my original record label, and I don't know if it was part of the negotiation, like if they had to do it, but they just decided to pull the record, and it has not been available since 1992. And I seriously get asked, like, I'll do a tour. I'll be in Europe in November, and I swear to God, I'll get asked 20 times a night for the entire month that I'm there. Like, why can't I not get the Scream record? Why can't I get the Scream record? And I don't know. I have no answer. And I've been trying to get the record label to re-release it, or even if they don't want to do hard copies, make it available for download on iTunes.
I mean, one of the ways you might want to go, and I know a lot of bands are doing this now, because I know here in the States you're bound to the contract here, and whoever released the album here, but abroad in Europe and England and stuff, there's actually record companies, and it was labeled or it was actually put out differently there. So there may be an opportunity to go, let's say to the UK, there's a label, Rock Candy, that's releasing a lot of these classic albums because they're not being released here in the States. I mean, that may be an avenue for you to look into. Is there a way maybe you could get it released as an import coming out of England or even Europe?
Well, it's funny because when I was in Union, we were signed with Spitfire.
Okay.
And while I was on Spitfire, the label came to me and said, you know what, they basically, they had all the Union stuff on their label. They couldn't do anything about the Motley stuff. Motley stuff is Motley stuff. But, they came to me and they're like, what are the chances of us putting out the Scream? And it was weird. Initially they tried to buy the record outright from Hollywood Records, but Hollywood Records wanted some crazy amount of money, like almost $1 million for that record. So they said, well, can we license it? So somehow they gave them, because Spitfire did do a run of that record, but it was like it came and it went. and nobody knew about it. And now it's weird. Like, I contacted Hollywood Records like a year ago. I'm like, can we put it out on iTunes? Can we do something? Like, you don't want to sell the record because you're saying that you haven't recouped your money for that record. But it would make total sense then, if you want to recoup, put the record out. People will buy it. It may not be a million seller, but I think that there's enough people out there that would buy the record. They would get closer to their figure.
Exactly.
And to be perfectly honest with you, in a business sense, it would give me and Juan Alderetti and Bruce Bouillet and everybody that was in that band, it would give us a little mailbox money for writing those songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a great album that just really needs to get re-released and really show the due that it's deserved, because it really is a classic that really nobody, I mean, everybody's heard about the album. People have heard it.
Yeah, they've heard it, but like we're talking about, they want to go get it, and they realize that we can't get it. So, okay, it's one of those albums like, I heard about it, so great, and we can't get it.